This is what President Trump wants. He wants to sort of weaken Iran in order to subsequently weaken Russia and China as a result. Let's try to zoom out and take a deep dive into the philosophy and the deeper ideas behind President Trump's rationale here and the administration writ large. What are they going to do in Iran? And usually in high tech, what you ask yourself is, what is my KPI? What's my key performance indicator? Basically, what's my business plan? What's my business model? How am I going to make my business succeed? So, for example, my KPI, my key performance indicator for this quarter is to raise $100 million and to, I don't know, have a 2% profit margin and to sort of grow and grow and grow until I sustain myself. I'm going to start with seed money and gradually I'm going to get more and more revenue to the point where I can finance the business on its own. Great. This is a business model. This is a business plan. I love it. When it comes to the world of policy, when it comes to the world of military and policy and geopolitics, basically international relations between countries, what's the definition of success in this case? Because we know back in June, when Israel and subsequently the United States attacked Iran, we knew, they told us what the definition of success was. Iran has a nuclear program. It develops ballistic missiles. It's bad. We want to remove the threat. We gave a chance to sanctions. We gave a chance to diplomacy. That didn't work. President Trump gave him 60 days. In the 61st day, Israel attacked. And then following that, these B-2 stealth bombers really destroyed those three major nuclear sites in Iran. Great. So when we finish a 12-day war, and President Trump loves, quick wins, low-hanging fruit. I want a quick win and I want a clear result. So we have a clear result. There are no nuclear sites. They were all destroyed. Great. We can all go home. What's the definition of success in this case? And this is a bit more obfuscated. I would say a bit more precarious in this case. Because none of President Trump's advisors, his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, his Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, his Vice President, J.D. Vance, maybe the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, maybe the members of the National Security Council, all these people sitting around the table in the Situation Room are supposed to advise President Trump, how is it all going to work out? We're going to strike these targets, and this is our end result. But we know that President Trump doesn't want boots on the ground, unlike the long Iraq and Afghanistan wars. He doesn't want that. He committed to America first. He committed to end endless wars, foreign wars, all these things. But he's also not an isolationist. And here we have to be fair with our viewers, because to call a president that eyes Greenland, talks about the Panama Canal, carried out strikes against the Iranian nuclear programs, and snatched President Maduro of Venezuela from his bed alongside his wife. That is not, it says, well, I'm running Venezuela now, and threatening NATO that they better up their commitment to 5% of GDP on defense. Well, that's not quite the isolationist president. The Gaza ceasefire deal, the Iran strikes, all these things indicate that Trump has a big foreign policy appetite. But I kind of realize why he's doing it. This, you can pin it on a philosophy that's called peace through strength, but also on removing threats on the American homeland around the world, and by so doing, securing America. That's basically Trump's philosophy. I want to remove a threat. I want to make the world a safer place, a more peaceful place. He keeps bragging about the wars that he allegedly ended, and in many cases he did. He reached either a very conclusive ceasefire or reached peace deals like between Armenia and Azerbaijan. But writ large, that's Trump's strategy. I want to make the world a safer place. I don't like the Iranian regime. I don't like the fact that it's been killing American soldiers around the Middle East. I don't like the fact that it tried to assassinate me twice. I don't like the fact that they're the best export is terrorism. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that they keep threatening to block the Straits of Hormuz, and they give those Houthis in Yemen by the Red Sea those missiles that allow them to attack the U.S. Navy at least 145 times. So all that I don't like. And potentially I want this regime changed. Great, but how do you do that? Because unlike Venezuela, where you have still, a dictatorship, but one of a stable tradition, Judeo-Christian civilization, Western Hemisphere, stark difference between Venezuela and Iran, a Middle Eastern country, Shiite tradition, far away from the United States. And so the definition of success here, the KPIs, if you will, is a bit more mushy, is a bit more precarious, is a bit more unclear. And so I kind of understand why Trump is delaying the attack, because he demands his advisors to have a clear result. Let's say we attack a police precinct, or we snatch the supreme leader, or we bomb the Majlis, the Iranian parliament. Great. And tomorrow, what? So potentially, what Trump wants is to send a clear message. And just yesterday, we found out that Trump said, you know what? They listen to me because I understand that execution have been halted and there are no more executions in Iran as of today. We all hope that's the case, but we can't ascertain that. We can't know that for sure. But why is Trump doing that? If we try to take a deep dive, the grand global chessboard, we mentioned that. Back in the days of the Cold War, the US had a doctrine of containment. Basically, everywhere you have communism initiated by the USSR, the Soviet Union, should be tackled, should be sort of pushed away. We should offer the soft power and, if needed, real alliances with the United States in order to suppress and push out those communist forces trying to take over the world. And that was best expressed in the so-called X telegram. This is sent by George Kennan, who's a diplomat in the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, and he sent this telegram warning the West by the dangers of communism. And this is really a lesson for all of us on containment and how active foreign policy can benefit if conducted wisely. And I think when Trump looks at Iran in the spirit of containment in the Cold War and those days, he doesn't just look on Iran, he looks on the bigger picture. He zooms out and he sees that Iran is part of a larger axis of Russia and China and North Korea and Venezuela. There are potential Iranian military sites reportedly in Venezuela. There is reportedly a vast network of narco-terrorism that sends money back to Iran and Hezbollah in Venezuela. So it's all kind of bonds together. Russia, China, and Iran conduct joint military drills in the seas of the Persian Gulf. You got Iranian missiles and drones used by Russia in the war in Ukraine. You got China, who buys over 90% of the Iranian oil. Basically, if it weren't for China and the Chinese Communist Party, the Iranian economy would be really crumbling, really collapsing long ago. Following the U.S. sanctions, the U.S. laid sanctions on the oil sector in Iran, basically suffocating it, putting a big blanket on the oil exports, basically saying anyone who buys oil from Iran has a problem with us. And so Iran has been trying to circumvent it in all sorts of different ways. And reportedly, China, through shell companies and sham companies and all these third-party actors, has been purchasing over 90% of Iran's oil. And we know that Iran is basically a big power station. All it does, basically most of its income by export is from oil. And so we ask ourselves, okay, so we have Russia and China who sign strategic deals with Iran, who keep it basically running, keep the economy running. We got Iran. It is not just far away in the Middle East. It also fuels terrorism around the world. He tried to assassinate President Trump twice. He tried to assassinate various figures, including the Saudi ambassador in Washington, D.C., terrorism plots around Europe, sending missiles to Israel, colluding with Russia and China on, undermining the American hegemony, sending drones and missiles to Russia in its war in Ukraine, threatening to block the Straits of Hormuz and severely disrupt global trading routes. So all these things are not good for America, and they threaten the United States status around the world. And so I think this is what Trump, if I had to guess, an educated guess perhaps, this is what President Trump wants. He wants to sort of weaken Iran in order to subsequently weaken Russia and China as a result. And this is precisely why we've been hearing these very loud criticisms by Russia and China on Trump's policy on Iran. They say it's like the jungle law, and we can't have these foreign interventions. Funnily enough, by Russia and China to say that. But then, where does it all come from? So where will it all go? Well, we don't know. But we know that what sparked it, we know that there has been a 42% year-over-year inflation in Iran, even hyperinflation. We know that food prices skyrocketed by 72% year over year. Flour, what have you, eggs, rice. Anyone who tasted the Persian cuisine knows that rice is essential. 72% hike. We have the purchasing power down the drains. You got the heavily subsidized government subsidies basically on the dollar exchange rate. Now the president there, Pezeshkian, says that he wants to stop. He says, well, in the past few days, he said, we poured over $18 billion on artificially subsidizing this dollar exchange rate. Basically, what I plan to do, why not give it directly to the Iranian people? Right, like a million rial per Iranian. Iranians reportedly are not buying it, and I don't know where this is all going, but it doesn't look good for the regime at all, and this is a great recipe for downfall. Perhaps Venezuela on steroids. The fact that Iran's economy is so down the drains, and so we can see that the protesters are not stopping. We see that the AG calls them the enemies of God. We see that the supreme leader Khamenei tells the police and the military, crush him. And to quote Michael Duran of Hudson Institute, no matter what happens next, there is no scenario in which the Islamic Republic survives 2026 with its power intact. Too much has happened. Too many uncontrollable yet intersecting factors are conspiring to erode the regime's power. But that does not mean that the revolution is inevitable and Iran will blossom into a free, open society once more. And I think that all depends on one thing, the Trump factor. Because all successful revolutions, and especially in Iran, a country that knew countless revolutions, but all successful revolutions basically rely on three factors. One is popular uprising, and we can see millions in the streets, potentially, perhaps many thousands, but potentially millions. But it have to be many more millions in order for that to succeed. We need to see fragmentation among authorities, basically the parliament or the high up authorities in the government telling the supreme leader, look, you have to go, and or even police officers or soldiers who lay down their weapons and refuse to cooperate with instructions to shoot at peaceful protesters. And of course, you need to have a clear opposition leader. Right now, we got Reza Pahlavi, who himself said in the past that he doesn't see himself as a guy who want to run Iran, but he is definitely the face of Iranian opposition. We're going to talk about this guy a bit separately, but he's a positive figure. I wish him well. I think he's a great positive figure for the future of Iran. But let's see where this is all going, because eventually the regime can and will crush the protests by force if it's not led to believe that it shouldn't, right? Where if the regime is led to believe that there are no ramifications to shooting unarmed protesters, basically, if there is no element of fear even among the regime, and so if there is no deterrence, so the regime can effectively crush the protests. So the Trump factor here is crucial in order to at least, if not topple the regime altogether, at least prevent this bloodshed in the streets of Iran. But let's see where this is all going. In the next few days, I'm sure will be very interesting.